Hey there folks, Joe DeAngelis here with a movie review that, well, I felt like I needed to be on camera for because this one's kind of, I guess, relevant. So anyway, we're here to talk about Justice League. The new DC EU, or whatever they're calling this universe now, the DC Cinematic Universe, basically. It's the fifth film of this franchise, following Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, and Wonder Woman. Basically, after the death of Superman in BVS, Batman and Wonder Woman assemble a bunch of heroes to take down Steppenwolf, a generic CGI bad guy. That's the movie. So, okay, so let me explain my history with these movies. Man of Steel, I liked the first time I saw it. And then with each viewing, it kind of wore on me. It wore off on me. It got harder and harder to watch, to the point where if I ever do watch it, I can only watch clips or watch it in chunks. Like I can watch maybe like the first 40 minutes, then another 30 minutes, and And then Batman v Superman, I do watch once in a blue moon. The Ultimate Edition, not the theatrical cut, because even though the theatrical cut is shorter, the Ultimate Edition at least is a little more coherent, I guess you could say. But I walked out of BVS the first time going, what the heck did I just watch? And the second time I watched it, I fell asleep during some of the scenes. And I never fall asleep during a movie. That just doesn't happen. Like, I remember seeing The Dark Knight Rises twice in a 24-hour period. I woke up and I had like maybe 4 hours of sleep. I was like, oh shoot, I gotta see it again with my uncle. And then I saw it again and I didn't fall asleep the entire 3-hour runtime. And I think that's a longer movie than the theatrical cut of BVS. So that says something, I think. But anyway, I understand that these movies do have their fans, so I'm not gonna say much more on BVS. Suicide Squad, I was entertained by it the first time I saw it, but I have really not watched it in full since its theatrical run. It had some good elements in it, but again, I don't think it works totally as a film, and I think it suffers from similar problems to Justice League. Wonder Woman, on the other hand, is probably the best out of all of these movies. Really coherent, it flows very nicely, the humor is well placed, it's very sincere. Gal Gadot is just great, just perfect casting. It's like one of the best superhero castings, I think, in it for any comic book movie. Chris Pine is great in it. I just didn't like the villain in like the third act battle scene. But it was a movie that came out at the right place, right time. It was a good summer surprise. And it's nice to see that her first big movie is good. And then we got Justice League. I'll say this much, Justice League was never going to compare to Wonder Woman. It just wasn't. And that's really because of reshoots, and also because Wonder Woman was pretty much just so good. And it was so disconnected from the other movies that, it kind of benefits from being the least connected in some ways. So Justice League, we had Zack Snyder originally directing it, and then he had to drop out of production because of the tragedy with his daughter, who had committed suicide, unfortunately. I hope, I just hope for the best for Snyder, his wife and his family. That's just a terrible, terrible tragedy. I think everybody realizes that, even if you don't care for his films, you should be respectful of his, family and all that stuff. So there's that. Joss Whedon took over for reshoots. He's not credited as a co-director, but I think he is credited as a writer on the film. And unlike, there are other cases of reshoots where it's like Rogue One definitely felt like there were some reshoots going on. And obviously Fan Four Stick is a classic example of reshoots. Kate Mara's wig, for one, and some of the shots in the movie. And Rogue One was definitely a product of reshoots, but it wasn't. I'd still say Rogue One works. As I say, Suicide Squad and then Justice League, it's pretty jarring in some areas. More jarring in Justice League, I would say. So this is clearly it was something. It was supposed to be something else by Zack Snyder, and Joss Whedon, and I won't say it's Joss Whedon, but maybe WB, the executives, changed it into something else. This does not feel like a movie. This feels more like a product made on committee. And you could say what you will. I could say what I will, but BVS and Man of Steel, I don't care for them very much, but I can at least say those are movies made by filmmakers. You know, Zack Snyder is a filmmaker. I can say, okay, I don't like this movie, but it's a Zack Snyder movie. I could watch Thor Ragnarok and say that's, I forgot the director's name, but, you know, he also plays Korg. That's his movie. Or Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, James Gunn. That's a James Gunn movie. You get what I'm coming from here. They're movies made by people. And Wonder Woman was also a movie made by a person, Patty Jenkins. And that feels like a movie. Justice League feels like a sizzle reel and like a bunch of compilations of cool things. And it's like, it makes me wish that they had, you know, just gone with maybe Zack's vision. I mean, again, I don't know if it would have been great or not, but it probably would have been, I think, more enjoyable than kind of the mess that we got here. So it feels like I'm kind of dodging my actual thoughts on this movie, but I will say this much. It is an entertaining film. It's only 2 hours long, which really shocked me, but I guess that was from a studio mandate. And it's like, didn't they learn from their lesson with Batman v Superman to make these things, you know, maybe you didn't need to make them like really short, but you also need to make them at a manageable length. I feel like this movie could have benefited from another 15-20 minutes from character development, especially because we're getting Aquaman, Cyborg, Flash as new characters in this movie. You know, but back onto them actually, but as characters, the new additions. Ray Fisher as Cyborg, I think he's fine. He's kind of the least interesting in certain ways of the group. He's just brooding a lot, but Ray Fisher does a fine job with the performance, and the special effects look better than what I was expecting. Although it does help that he is wearing a sweatshirt a lot of the time. It was Aquaman, played by Jason Momoa. I was probably most excited for this one, and I don't know if I was like 100% pleased, because Jason Momoa is an entertaining guy, but you know, Aquaman just doing stuff was kind of amusing at times, but it's obviously it's not your dad's Aquaman is what I'm trying to say here. Really, it's kind of sad because it's like I wish he had more with his ocean powers. That's why I'm excited for the Aquaman movie, so we can see more of that. We didn't get to see too much of that in this film. And then Ezra Miller as Flash. I think he was the highlight out of the new stuff for this universe. He was very entertaining. I mean, we had seen him in 2 other DC movies. Ezra Miller was just entertaining, and I can't wait to see more of him in these films. And as for returning members, Ben Affleck looked like he wanted to leave. Like he just looked miserable. And I really liked him in Batman v Superman. Let that be said. He is the best part, probably one of the better parts of Batman v Superman. And it is so sad that he's gone from, you know, like, okay, sweet, I get to play Batman, to, you know, I'm just looking for a good exit at this point. And it's like, oh, dude, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And it's like, darn. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Gadot, I've heard it pronounced both ways, whatever. She's the best thing about any of these movies. She's very charismatic. You can't take your eyes off her when she's on screen. She plays the character very well, I think, and any scene with her is infinitely more interesting. So, there's that. And other returning parts. Now, you know Superman's in this movie. You know that, so that's not a spoiler. And you know Superman comes back from the dead in this movie. Let me say this. It felt goofy and really dumb. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It felt like, you know, sometimes when you dream about a movie that you haven't seen yet, and you think you're dreaming about the scenes, and then you wake up and you're like, oh, that wasn't a real movie. That was kind of like that, but like really bad. You know, some of the dialogue, especially in that scene, the dialogue was terrible in those moments. It was just really, really silly. And not like silly in like the, you know, Thor Ragnarok way, but like silly in like, oh my god. That was just stupid. And Henry Cavill, you know, some of his Superman's effects work wasn't so great. In fact, there's a lot of effects work that isn't that good in this movie. on the technical side. And some of the music, I think this, like, in terms of score, is not that memorable. And it's kind of funny saying that because Danny Elfman is scoring this one, and he uses his old Batman theme. And the classic, a little bit of the classic Superman theme, and I kind of felt nothing, you know. And then now Steppenwolf. They wasted Kieran Hines on this really generic bad guy. Honestly, I think I liked Enchantress more. You know. Now, let me get on to more positive stuff. There were some action scenes that were fun. Again, this is an entertaining movie. I was bored sometimes, but I was just, in certain ways, I was glad it wasn't like 3.5 hours. Or sorry, like 2.5 hours, because, you know, again, if it was something I wasn't liking, then it's like, you know, why waste my time? You know, like Batman v Superman is like, it's a 3-hour movie, and it's like, yeah, I just don't care. I wish it was shorter, so that way I can just move on with my life. But again, if it was shorter, it'd be kind of incoherent, which, you know, this movie, I don't know, it's hard because they're introducing so many elements, and they like the mother boxes and all these new characters and all that. Action scenes. Well, one of my favorite action scenes in the film is with the Amazons, and they're trying to keep the one of the mother boxes away from Steppenwolf. That was an awesome scene. There's a few other like highlight moments. There's an opening scene in this movie, and that really warmed my heart. It was a really nice opening scene. And then they have a couple like vignettes in like the opening that were good. J.K. Simmons is in this movie. I hope to see more of him as Commissioner Gordon in Matt Reeves' Batman movie. And Willem Dafoe was cut out. There's that. Yeah. So overall, to people who are probably on the fence, I would say see it as a matinee if you absolutely must see it on the big screen. Do not pay full price for this. I would not recommend this as a full price title at all. It's a rental. You know, it's entertaining. It's popcorn. It's a popcorn movie, which there's nothing essentially wrong with that. It's just, you know, in some ways, it's like, you know, I still don't like Man of Steel or BVS, but they were at least about something. They were made by people, and this was a film by committee where it's like Warner Brothers is like, okay, people like Marvel films, we will shove in a bunch of jokes. And honestly, a lot of the jokes didn't land. I know people complain about that with Marvel, but this movie, there was like, it was just like, see guys, we're like Marvel, please like us. And no. So, anyway, I don't know if this is the worst DC movie. I can't really say. Maybe that, I don't know what it goes to, honestly. It was entertaining. I had fun, I guess you could say. There were some amusing, like, so bad it was funny moments with some of the dialogue and some of the awkward shots and Ben Affleck just looking miserable. And some of the dialogue that I felt was, like, very unintentionally meta, like, oh, Batman, you're getting too old for this. You can't do this forever. And Ben Affleck was like, yeah, right, I can't do this forever. Please take me out of this. So, anyway, I don't know. If you've seen Justice League, what are your thoughts? Please have respectful comments with each other if there's any comments on this video at all. And if you want to see more of this, like, share, subscribe, I guess. I don't know. Hopefully I'll make more videos soon. And if you want to see other content that I'm in, check out the Movie Squad YouTube channel. I might be on their Justice League review. We're just going to be uploading the next couple days, but I'm not sure if that's happening, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, see you guys later.